folks, I'm Vasel here, and I'm here to talk about 10 more great games from 2016. And as the year comes to a close, we like to take a look back and see some fantastic games. But the thing is, with many of our game lists, the games are big and grandiose. Those games just happen to be best games of the year. They tend to overshadow little games. And the thing is, sometimes I want to carry a little game around or have these little games on my shelf. They don't take up as much room. So I thought we need to have a top 10 list that showcases smaller games. So here are what, in my opinion, are the best 10 small games of 2016. Number 10 is Eternity. Now, Eternity is a trick-taking game. And I like any game, that trick-taking is something I enjoy, like hearts or spades or things like that. And Eternity has this cool concept where you are trying to win tricks, but sometimes you want to be out of a trick so that you can kind of score the tricks that you've taken. It's kind of a hard concept. Z done a review on this, and you can kind of see how the game plays. But the concept of playing cards and knowing when to win a trick, or sometimes basically opting out of a trick so that you can then score tricks that you've already done. It also has some really cool, gorgeous artwork, just a neat little game, Eternity. Number 9 is Loot and Run. In this game, you are kind of pushing your luck. You're going into a pyramid. It's kind of a silly game where you're going into a pyramid and hoping not to run across monsters that populate that pyramid, whether they be werewolf or mummy. But they're silly monsters, and again, it's seeing how much can I push my luck and how much treasure and loot can I get. There's a lot of these games out there, but this one has kind of a fun, whimsical nature to it. And of course, the beautiful artwork and gorgeous production by Yellow. That's Loot and Run. Number 8 is Not Alone. Not Alone is a game in which you land on a planet. And you're like, oh, we're trying to find a new planet to colonize. Oh, you're not alone. And one player is a malevolent being that lives on that planet, and they are trying to capture everybody else. And it plays almost like a game of hide and seek. Each turn, you're like, I'm at this location. And when you go to a location, it's going to let you do a special ability. And the players are trying to collectively use these special abilities to call a rescue ship to come and get them. While the malevolent being is going, I think you guys went here. And if they catch you, you're going to lose some, almost like a hit point. And if you lose enough of those, then the alien gets a point. And if the alien gets enough points, they win. So it's one versus all. It's like a big game of hide and seek. But, well, not a big game. It's like a small card game. But so, again, some pretty neat artwork. It's a fun idea that is not alone. Number 7 is Insider. Insider is a small little game from Oink Games in which it is a mix between 20 questions and Werewolf, where you are asking one person a lot of questions, trying to figure out the answer to something. Is it bigger than a bread box? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's an elephant. But one person knew the answer to that. So once you get the answer, then you got to figure out who at this table already knew the answer to that question. Your questions that you ask seem to really lead us to the right answer. Because the person who knows the answer has to get the team has to get the answer correct for them to win. But then you're going to be accusing people and throwing somebody out. It's very entertaining. Number 6 is HMS Dolores. HMS Dolores is a game in which players essentially, you are going to be playing a whole pile of these do we split or do I take it all type situation, games with each other. And it's about collecting pirate loot and such, but there's this constant, I'm with another player, what cards are we going to play? I'm with another player, what cards are we going to play? And it's just this bluff, 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 as you go back and forth. A really entertaining little game from Eric Lang and Bruno Feduti. Number 5 is Ninja Camp. Ninja Camp is a game where it's just a deck of cards that you put out on a grid, and you have little ninjas that are going to be running around this grid collecting cards, and the card you land on is going to give you kind of the special ability of what you do next. It's almost like a more entertaining version of Hey, That's My Fish. Hey, That's My Fish was a game where you moved around a board, and the board got smaller as you collected fish. This is a very similar thing, but it has special abilities, and I think it's just honestly a better, cooler game as you figure out, I can go to this card that's going to give me points, but I want a card that also is going to give me a special ability that will let me get some more points, and I don't want to get trapped in a part of the board that I can't get out of. Ninja Camp. Number 4 is Tides of Madness. This is a sequel to Tides of Time. Tides of Time I thought was an okay game. Tides of Madness I like better. Not because it's Cthulhu based, but in this 2-player game where you are essentially drafting. I like drafting as you take the cards, and the different cards that you collect each round are going to give you points. So you're drafting cards that help you and hopefully taking cards that your opponent can't score points with. But there's some of the cards in this game are madness cards, and if you get too many madness cards, you will lose. And that extra victory or loss condition is what really makes this game kind of shine for me above Tides of Time. And I don't know, I just really think that's cool. Also, amazing artwork, doesn't hurt this game at all. Tides of Madness. Number 3 is the Castles of Burgundy card game. Now, Castles of Burgundy is a fantastic game. It's very bland looking, and it's very much just roll dice and use those dice to get points in various ways, as Stefan Feld games often do. The card game is really close to the board game, but it's a smaller footprint, it's faster, and instead of rolling dice, you are simply using cards that have dice printed on them. And while for me and initially I'm like, gotta roll some dice, this card methodology worked really well. It allows you, there's different things that you're going to take. You're trying to collect different sets. You're trying to stop the other players from collecting sets. It's fast, simple, and honestly for me, makes the board game obsolete because the card game does everything the board game wants to do in a faster period of time. That's Castles of Burgundy card game. Number 2 is Blood of an Englishman. Now, this game, great artwork from Renegade Games, great theming, Jack and the Beanstalk. But it's a 2-player game. One person's Jack, the other person's the Giant. And Jack is trying to go in and get 3 treasures from the Giant. What is it? The golden goose, a bag of gold, and the beautiful harp. And the Giant's trying to stop him. You're laying out a pile of cards on the table. And that's it. The cards are randomly placed, and then after that, it's all an asymmetrical game as Jack has his different moves, is moving different cards around. The Giant's moving cards around. The Giant can either hopefully get rid of enough cards that Jack can't win, or the Giant can, the Giant can basically just make it so that he has fee, fi, fo, fum cards in a certain positions which he wins. Jack is trying to get those treasures and get out. And it's a back and forth thing. At first when I played, I thought Jack had the advantage, but then I found out that the Giant also was pretty good. It's neat. They play differently. It's small. It plays fairly quickly, but it's very thinky, very cool game. Blood of an Englishman. And number 1 is 3 Wishes. Not only is 3 Wishes number 1 on my list, but it's the smallest game on my list. There's just a pile, I think it's maybe 15 or so cards that you're going to be passing out to players, and players are trying to have 3 wishes in front of them. Well, they do have 3 wishes, but you want specific wishes. I want to wish for myself, something that's cool for me. I want like a fantasy wish, like I want to be able to fly, and then I want a wish that helps the world, like I wish for world peace. Right? So you're trying to have 3 different wishes. That's how you win the game after a certain amount of turns. But when you have those, then you also want to have the most points on them. And so each turn you're passing these cards to other people and stealing their cards and outthinking and double bluffing other players and doing different things. It's a cool concept. It's a neat little game. It's what we call a micro game, and most micro games to me are kind of but this one is one of my favorites. In fact, I like it better than the most popular micro game, Love Letter. I'd rather play 3 Wishes. I like the theming of it better, but I also like that trying to outthink the other players as you pass the cards back and forth. So that's 3 Wishes. That's my number 1 small game of the year. What games do you like that are small little games? Tell people in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We still have a few more top 10 lists of 2016 coming. I hope you join us for those. Until next time, my name's Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.